In this video we're checking out the legendary blacksmithing game BlackForge, where you get to craft mighty blades and impeccable tools as you hone your trade in this mystical forge. It's coming out 13th of June, priced at $19.99 US, with a launch discount of 20%. Here I'll go into my review after playing the game for about 3 or 4 hours, but first, just a quick message to say that the Quest 2 accessories in the MetaQuest store are even better value, with as much as 50% off the original price. You can get this Quest 2 Elite Strap for $24.99, this Quest 2 Elite Strap battery now $44.99. The carry case is now $19.99, down from $44.99. MetaQuest 2 Fit Pack is $19.99. And the MetaQuest 2 Active Pack is now $29.99 US, down from $59.99. Some massive savings on Quest 2 accessories, but these discounts won't last forever. So if you're in the market for some Quest 2 accessories, make sure to take advantage of these offers while they last. And if you do decide to purchase any of these discounted accessories, please do use the affiliate link linked in the description below, as it helps the channel out at no extra cost to you. Thank you. Your blacksmithing adventure begins with this grizzly bearded looking dude who looks like he's stepped out of a medieval flea market. He is your guide and guides you through your first steps. Now your job is to tackle the weird and wonderful requests that he brings you from the townspeople. You finish one and then you go on to another. You do a good job, you get rated highly. You do a bad job, you have to do it again. That is of course the very simplified version of what you do here, because there is actually quite a bit of complexity in the kinds of crafting requests that you get and the different materials you have at your disposal. For example, you have wooden materials all about chopping and whittling, then there's magically zapping things together using your lightning infused hammer. Then there's metal, and with metal you're scooping, smelting, hammering and grinding that metal to perfection, crafting everything from blunt hammers to sharp blades and pointed spearheads. It's quite a relaxing game, even meditative, and it provides a welcome break from the usual violence, guns and destruction we see with many games these days. However, if you're hoping to craft the perfect items, then you might want to adjust your expectations, because in this game, using the tools, it's really hard to get things made just right. For example, when whittling a piece of wood, because you haven't got that real force feedback, it's very easy to overshoot or undershoot your mark, and that makes it very, very difficult to create the perfect straight handle. There's always going to be a few kinks and wobbles. It's really quite hard to get anything quite exact. You're going to end up with wobbly hammers, misshapen spear tips, and all kinds of not quite right creations. But don't worry, because the game does not penalise you for that. And in fact, I tried my own little experiment by seeing how bad I could actually go with my creation before the game recognised I was putting in minimal effort. So with every creation you get certain characteristics, certain parameters to make those objects to. So you have to make them to perhaps a certain height or a certain weight. Maybe you have to make them sharp, blunt. Each of your customers will have different requirements, and so for this particular object it needs to be both quite tall and also a blunt weapon. What I did is I basically fused 2 logs together. I did the most minimal work I could do whilst fulfilling the parameters of the job, and lo and behold, I had to do the task again because it wasn't good enough. So whilst the game is generally forgiving with the things that you create, you do have to put some effort in order to complete the jobs. And just a brief note on the menu system. Yes, the menu system isn't the most exciting thing, but it's always good to know what kind of options they have available. And you have this real tactile menu system which is nice to play with, and has just enough options to keep me satisfied. At least you have ability for smooth turning, which is a must, I think, in VR games these days. I do wish there was more options to be a bit more precise when it comes to creating your creations. Now that could just be my inner perfectionist speaking, and for some people it won't bother them at all, but I imagine there'll be others out there who will, like me, obsess over getting everything perfect. And that is obviously something that will come with practice, but I also feel the controls could perhaps be adapted to support that kind of fine detail work for those players with those perfectionist tendencies like myself. Now on the subject of controls, some of the things worked really well, like smithing, for example, pretty simple, pretty easy, no problems. Other things, like wrapping this piece of wood in leather, was a complete nightmare. With this particular job, I had to wrap this wooden handle in leather, and I followed the instructions, but as you can see, it just wasn't going to happen. So I ended up just giving up and submitting this half leather wrapped monstrosity to my client, who was, to my surprise, pleased with the job. So it didn't matter in the end, but the point is, using that particular tool wasn't fun, and to this day I still don't know how to properly use it. Another drawback of this game currently is bugs. There are quite a few of them that I noticed, and some of them being potentially game breaking. So right at the beginning of the game, there was this job that involved fixing this staff. I quit the game and came back in, only to notice the staff had disappeared. No matter how many times I re-accessed the job, the staff wasn't there anymore. Thankfully, I was at the beginning of the game, so it didn't really affect me when I cleared the game data and restarted. But if that happened much later in the game, I would have not been very happy. There are other bugs too, and general jankiness that kind of went on, that kind of interfered with the experience. And I really do hope that just before and just after release, those bugs are prioritized. The other thing, which is probably more of a minor gripe, but still a bit frustrating, is the way tools just stay where you left them. Sometimes you're busy rushing around your forge, making things, you drop tools in certain places and you forget where you left them, and then all of a sudden you're spending the next few minutes trying to search your forge for that tool that you absent-mindedly dropped a few minutes ago. It'd be nice to have the option to have the tools spawn back at specific points, so if you do lose them, you know where to find them again. But all in all, forgetting the bugs, BlackForge is actually quite an enjoyable experience. It's a relaxing fantasy escape, and while its slow pace might not be for everyone, if you're looking to relax, unwind and get a bit creative, then I recommend checking this one out, because it has some nice ideas that are for the most part executed quite well, and it's one of those games that you can get lost in for hours. And that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you have liked it, remember to thumbs up and subscribe. There's a link to the game below, and I'd appreciate if you can use that link if you're interested in purchasing this particular game. That's all from me for now. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.
Now it looks like it used to. Fed and happy. Oh, yes. Now that you're here, I need something made. You see, my trust